Hi, I'm Carol Van Ornum of the Civil War Roundtable Congress, and today we are interviewing Dr. Cheryl McAuley of the Tennessee Valley Civil War Roundtable. Welcome, Cheryl.
Hello,
It's nice to have you.
thanks for having me.
The Civil War Roundtable Congress has created an initiative to interview roundtable leaders in the hopes that they will share their successes and their challenges of running their Civil War Roundtable. We also hope that they will offer some ideas and perspectives which will help others grow. So Cheryl, tell me a bit about your background, where you grew up, your schools, your career, and your interest in the Civil War.
Thanks, Carol. I grew up in Baltimore County, Maryland, about 90 minutes from Gettysburg. I earned a degree in piano, a bachelor's degree, a bachelor's of music degree in piano performance in 1975, and I taught piano. I was a church musician, organist, and choir director for many years. And then I enlisted in the Maryland Army National Guard. I later had a career in military intelligence with the Department of Defense. And it wasn't until 1995 that the Civil War bug uh, uh, got me. We were uh, we were in Gettysburg. I was 41, and we took my mother, who was 61 at the time, on one of those horseback trails at Gettysburg Battlefield. And I was very moved by the terrain and the whole spirit of the place. And I read Killer Angels when I came back, and got hooked on Joshua Chamberlain, read everything I could about him, everything he wrote, everything written about him, and joined the Joshua Chamberlain Roundtable, Civil War Roundtable in Brunswick, Maine. And we also drove up there and attended several of their summer programs. I was fortunate to earn a Master of Public Administration degree from George Mason University in Virginia. And then I also have a master's in strategic studies from the Army War College in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. After I returned from my 2010 deployment in Iraq, the VA sent me a letter about my education benefits. I decided to pursue a Doctor of Management and Organizational Leadership to honor those soldiers who couldn't come back to use their benefits. I completed that in 2016 at the age of 62.
That's a lot. So, quick question. When you belonged to the Joshua Chamberlain Roundtable, did you hold any positions in that?
No, I was just a distant member. But I had some friends. We maintained some email traffic, and that was in the 90s, and so we didn't have all the tools we have now. A lot of letter writing.
No, sure. How long have you been a leader for the Tennessee Valley Roundtable?
Well, uh, president in January of this year, but I was involved on the board in 2010 to 2012 as vice president. I was asked by the president at the time to be the vice president, secretary, and archivist. And I had just retired from the government and military. I asked him what he needed for me to work on, and he said, "We've never been able to get our bylaws finished." I said, "Well, we'll take care of that. What else do you need?" I discovered the board members were not meeting. So I held the first meeting at our home after a potluck dinner, and the wives got to know each other while we had a meeting and brainstormed, while the board members brainstormed ideas in another room. We decided to become a 501c3, and I learned how to navigate that paperwork. We discussed the logo and had that designed, and we met monthly, and I recruited someone to be the secretary and someone else to be the archivist and collect our history. This was also during the sesquicentennial, and I suggested that we have a no-host dinner banquet and encouraged period dress. We invited Matthew Borowick to come down from New Jersey as our speaker, and he did a great job. We invited leadership from area Civil War roundtables and had a meeting with them prior to the dinner. We had another dinner the following year with Mr. Bars as our keynote speaker. And then I started my doctorate, and I stepped off the board in 2012. Just came back a year ago as the vice president to see how things were being done. And so that when the president was ready to step down, that I would step up. And so my 2-year term began January 2025.
Did you have any challenges or resistance to all of those changes that you were going to make or wanted to make?
I didn't know what changes I wanted to make yet. Or are you talking about from the vice president days, the early days? I think the as vice president, I mean, it was all new, and they appreciated the chance to be a 501c3. And yes, the banquet was a new idea. Uh, they hadn't done anything like that before, but we did encourage folks, and folks came because they got a chance to wear their period dress. I will tell you, in January of this year, I said to the board, we're not doing a we're not doing a dinner this year or next year. That'll have to be someone else if you want to do another one of those. But we won't be doing one of those at this point in time. But they were open to trying something new, and I was really proud of them for that. And as for now, I didn't know what changes I needed to make, so I waited and to see what we needed to do before I made decisions.
I bet they were glad to have someone to just lead the charge.
Well, I was happy to be in a position where I could take this on again, and but I did say it would just be for 2 years. So succession plan is really important to me. Make sure that, and you met Art in Richmond, and he at our first board meeting, we didn't have a vice president, but he stepped up and said he would take that on. He's also our field trip coordinator. So I was very grateful.
Is your succession plan part of your bylaws?
No, it is not. It should be, though.
Can always make an amendment.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
What
We'd
has
had
been-
presidents who'd stayed on for a long time, and then I mean, presidents haven't stayed as long as they had in the past, and so that's actually a good thing. And but there's some other things that I'd like to do, and I know that 2 years is will be enough for me,
Okay.
but I'll help however I can.
What has been your most shining or valuable moments or accomplishments?
Well, when we started in January, one of the things that they were open to was surveying the membership again, and we had done that when I was vice president. So we surveyed the members, and there were 5 questions I wanted to ask of every one of our members. What are we doing well? How can we improve? What needs work? What skill sets can you bring to the table and to our organization? Is there a topic that you'd like to present? And do you read our newsletter? And those were the 5 questions, and we got a varied response, and but mostly positive, and that's good. As you would expect, not a lot of people, but there were people who indicated they'd rather have more meetings that have to do with battlefields and engagements, because over time we've been able to bring in speakers who don't necessarily speak about specific campaigns, and so there's been variety. But I was very glad to get any responses back, and that was a good thing. Shining and valuable moments. I really like the people on this board. There's a camaraderie and collaboration. I really like the team approach. And if somebody has an idea, we talk about it and either move forward or we drop it. So, for example, I floated the idea of developing a Tennessee Valley CWRT Roundtable Challenge coin, and everybody weighed in on that. And but the idea was voted down because the board felt that the return on investment wasn't going to be a good one. And one person had experience with that with the city of Huntsville, in a previous position that he held, and he said it's not as easy as it might appear to be. So that was fine. We focus on our funds go to our speakers, and that's what we focus our funds on. Marketing funding has often taken a back seat to everything else, and but everybody comes prepared to the board meetings, ready to work, and we get a lot done. It's very supportive. It's a collaborative atmosphere, as I said. Collectively, our careers represent 175 years of military and government service, and I'm really proud of the partnership that we have with Civil War Roundtable Congress. And I love the slide that Steve put together for us in your materials, showing us as sponsors. And I'm glad that our board was open to that, because this has all been new for them too. And so I'm excited. That is a high point for me in the last 6 months. We are benefiting from your workshops. You met our vice president in Richmond, and our social media expert will be in the Cleveland workshop. And the Friday night Zoom meetings are a great benefit for people to watch. And we hope to host you in Huntsville in 2026, 2027 timeframe.
I really like that the board is working together. Can you give me any other examples of how that helps your roundtable?
Well, the roundtable has benefited by that collaborative approach. I will tell you, one of the things that I didn't mention about resistance was I received resistance, and this does have a positive ending for the members. I met with each of the board members either over a meal or over the phone, and right before, from November and December, and I listened to their concerns and their ideas. We tidied up some administrative things that had gotten sloppy, and such as we needed to update our insurance policy, we needed a review of our finances, and we tidied those things up. But when I asked for an audit, the treasurer, who had been the treasurer for 4 years, resigned, and that was a concern. And but what I really liked about it was that the board rallied. Everybody stepped up. Somebody else decided they would be the treasurer. Somebody backfilled him. Everybody's positions except 2 changed, and it's really exciting how well everybody has done so quickly, have moved into the other roles, and it's really benefited the members with great organizational skills by the board. So I'm thankful for that. Our members know that we're trying to do some new things, and you may be aware of some of those things. We tried to do a Civil War trivia night, and again, we didn't have to pay a speaker for that, and but everybody had a really good time and learned a lot. The questions were really good, and when you meet the social media gentleman in Cleveland, he is the person who moderated that and did a really fine job. We're also looking at Civil War gaming, and over the 4th of July weekend, we're going to show the movie Gettysburg in the room where we meet, and it'll be a very relaxing event, and for people to enjoy the movie together. Our roundtable the members enjoy being together, and I think that's really important, and things that we can do to keep them together. And we want it to be a safe environment where people can feel free to exchange ideas, and we're a very nonpartisan group, and we have people who are members of the Sons of Confederate Veterans and Sons of Union Veterans who are members of our roundtable. We support each other in those events when someone has an event, and the roundtable. We still know that keeping the best speakers that we can is the highest goal. And as any of your Civil War roundtables will tell you, one of our favorites is, of course, Dr. Fields, and AKA General Grant. And when he and Thomas Jesse come to Huntsville, we've got to put out a whole lot more chairs than usual. I'm especially looking forward to hosting Will Green, who's scheduled to come in February of 2026. He was here. We were able to get him here when when I was vice president. We were able to get him here, and I'm really thrilled he's coming back.
What does he speak about?
He will be speaking about the trilogy he's writing, about the Petersburg campaign, and of course, everything he did with Pamplin Park is just brilliant, and whatever he wants to talk about is going to be well received.
I want to go back. You talked about getting insurance, and I think some do and some don't have insurance roundtables. Why did you decide to get it?
We meet at an Elks Lodge,
Mhm.
and that was their requirement because we're using their space. And so we checked on that, and we have an event coming up next year, and I wanted to make sure our policy will cover us if we're handling live fire weapons. We're looking at a black powder shoot for next year, and I asked if our insurance will cover it, and the board has come back. The people who took that on said yes, we're good, and we've got the points of contact, everything we need for that.
Great, thank you for that, because it's a confusing issue for a lot of roundtables, I think. Is
I
there
guess it depends on the venue where you meet.
Yeah. Right. Is there someone in your sphere that's been a mentor or an inspiration to you? And if so, what way?
Well, he's no longer with us, but the best boss I ever had in government was a retired warrant officer and defense intelligence analyst, and just a really great boss. And he made me feel valued, and that was in the 90s. And I didn't always feel valued when I got into the government. It was a whole new world. And but the way that he led was a role model for me, and it helped me become a servant leader when it was my turn to be a supervisor. Vaughn Hilgren, he's buried at Arlington. Still in touch with his wife.
What do you think are your biggest challenges for your roundtable?
Well, like everyone else, we would like to get additional members, and but I don't think numbers are the only thing that matters. I think we have a model with our little round table, and I don't know how many others have a little round table, but it's about 12 to 20 people meet on yet another weekly meeting, monthly meeting on a different week. So our main meeting is on the second Thursday of the month, and our little round table meets on the fourth Thursday of the month. And those are the folks who want to study more in-depth battlefield campaigns and personalities and so forth. And so everybody picks a topic and they present, and it's really great to see them facilitate the meetings and the interaction. They actually have study questions that come out the week before, and they really take it seriously. And so I'm really proud that that's continuing 15 years later.
That's a long time.
It is.
So you have a lot of multiple activities going on throughout each month. Can
Yes.
you just kind of review for me, you start at the first of the month and what's happening that week and then the next week, and because that's a interesting way to do it.
Well, it seems to be growing, but we don't know what the end result will be. I hope it will attract new members who have an interest in what we're doing, and who share our common interest in American history. And course, it's been said that the worst thing you can do is try to please all of the people all of the time. My goal is to do my very best, along with our talented board of directors, to be sure that our members enjoy a first-rate evening of American Civil War education, along with our preservation efforts. So we pass a bucket, and this is our battlefield bucket. And we pass this bucket around after we pledge allegiance at the beginning of the meeting. And that bucket goes around, and anybody's got anything in their pocket, they put it in there if they want to. It's completely voluntary. And then each year we decide on a preservation project to give that money to. So we're on track at the moment. We've been averaging about $150 a month so far the first 6 months. And our proceeds this year will go to our new, there will be an expanded Civil War, American Civil War exhibit at our Veterans Museum. That's expanding. They're going to break ground on a new facility in October, and we've partnered with them. And so we have some volunteers there. Some of their folks are joining the roundtable, and it's really fun to have that partnership. So did I answer your question?
Well, it was, you have
Oh,
the,
our scheduling. Yes, our scheduling. I'm sorry. The first week is the board meeting. The first Thursday of the month is the board meeting. The second Thursday of the month is the general membership meeting with a speaker, normally a speaker. And then the third Thursday has now become the Civil War gaming night, and a different person facilitates, brings their battle to the group, and everybody teams up and works through the what ifs of how that battle turned out. Sometimes it has a similar outcome to the way history was written, and sometimes it doesn't. The fourth Thursday is the little round table, and I discovered last month we had 5 Thursdays, and I really liked having 5 Thursdays and having one off. But that's becoming a challenge, just making sure to manage. And and if you can't make a meeting, who is going to facilitate, who's going to, and so people have stepped up, and it's just been great to see everybody share in the facilitation and welcoming members, because we're getting new people coming to each of the meetings, and so it's great. Well, the little round table is a benefit for membership in the large round table.
okay. What other partners do you have besides the Veterans Museum?
The Veterans Museum. Well, the local Redstone Federal Credit Union is now a partner, where if you're a member of the Tennessee Valley Civil War Roundtable, you can become a member of the credit union, and you can take advantage of the banking system. That's where the roundtable does their banking. And then so they have loans and special promotions and so forth that the members can take advantage of. That's one partner. We have the Redstone Rocket is our Redstone Arsenal newspaper, weekly newspaper, and they help us with advertising our speakers generally 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time before each meeting. So we send them a blurb, and they let the community of Redstone Arsenal know, hey, here's an activity, which is how my husband and I found the roundtable, in fact. And so they put down they include the Whiskey 5 hotels, who, what, where, when, and everything. And people do read it, and we've had some members from that.
Nice. Where do you see your roundtable in the next 5 years?
I really wanted to continue to be a viable group that offers quality programming, and where people feel comfortable coming. And we want to be known as one of the best roundtables in the country, and collaborating with other Civil War roundtables. there is the North Alabama Civil War Roundtable. There are others in Alabama. So the Tennessee Valley name is important to us because we also cover that whole area covers, Tennessee as well. And we have members who come down from Tennessee, which is wonderful. I threw this question out to the board members because they're the ones that are going to take this forward when I step down. And one board member would like to see us grow 50% above what we are now. We're about 127. And so that's another 60 members. And in March, I challenged our roundtable to grow to 160 members by the end of the year to commemorate the 160th anniversary of Appomattox and the beginning of the peace. And so we're still 33 people away from that. Another board member wants us to reach out to more of the new folks that are moving into Huntsville who do not know about us. And there are some things that we could be doing, marketing. Again, we really need a dedicated public relations person for the roundtable, and that's not been easy to find. But we could get more visibility than we have now, and so we still have to work with that. But I want it to be a place, again, a viable, safe place, and with a robust membership. And I've been focusing my efforts this first 6 months on valuing the members that we have. We've had, a couple of little events for those members who have been with us a long time. And one of our sponsors is a tea shop. So groups of 6 ladies at a time will go and have tea together and get to know each other. In groups, you tend to talk to the people, but I'm trying to make sure that folks feel good together and meet other people with the same interests.
That's really great. And I'm sure that Art is going to bring back a lot of ideas from the workshop recently.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
We're hoping to have dinner on Friday night so we can catch up and I can hear all about it.
Good.
Thank you.
Do you have a sister relationship with any other roundtables?
No, we don't. And I am very much, I talked to the board about that the other night, and they're interested in that. But again, everybody's so busy. And I know that other roundtables are busy as well, but I think that's something we do need to pursue and see how we can be helpful to others.
Especially if you're going to do field trips.
Right.
That would be helpful.
And that is something that we do for our members and the general public. The members get the first crack at the field trips. This year is Shiloh, November 1st. So if any of your viewers are interested, we'd love to have them join us. And it's a one day, it's not an overnight, but it is a one day full day that meets in Huntsville. We take off and we're in a bus, and large, comfortable bus, and be back that evening.
Sounds fun.
Thank you.
I know you've been thinking about doing the sustainability challenge that the Congress offers.
Right.
How is that coming?
I think it's going well. I've already gotten back some written comments. At our June board meeting, I broke out the modules and we talked about all 10 modules briefly, and then each person whose area that took, coincided with, everybody took a module. And so a couple of people have already written down, have already given me some feedback. And we're gonna take our time. We're not going to rush it. And I was glad to see that it can take a year. And we hope that next summer, if we get to see some of you in Huntsville, that we'll get our certificate.
That sounds good. I hope so. Is there anything else you'd like to share with me about your roundtable?
It's really a great group of individuals, and people really do take this seriously. When you talk to families who will immediately start to tell you about their relative and who was at such and such battle, and you can see the stories and the family history is really important to them. One of the things that we're lucky to be able to offer at this time is Dr. General Scales, former president. It has a gift of being able, he's offered for folks who go on the field trips, if somebody knows where, the unit that their relative was in, he will be able to point out on the battlefield where that unit was, and it really is a nice special thing for members who participate in that.
Definitely.
So we have a lot of knowledge. There are so many people. I'm just a drop in the bucket in terms of knowledgeability on things Civil War, but we have so many gifted folks who are authors and have speakers. In fact, if we have a weather night, which is very rare, or if a speaker cancels, which I don't know that that's ever happened, we have people who can turn around and do a presentation on the spot if necessary, and so that the audience is not, the members are not disappointed that there's plenty we can do. So we're trying to appeal to some new demographics, and we hope that our roundtable will be that we'll be able to help with some ideas for other roundtables and help however we can. But we really are thankful to be part of your community, and we're learning a lot.
I love your enthusiasm.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Cheryl, it's been great talking with you. I appreciate you taking the time to spend it with us.
Thank you, Carol. We really appreciate the chance to be with you.
All right. Thanks very much.